Sweat Equity Podcast. We got the guys from My Area Network sitting here. Feeling good. It's we're kind of doubling up on recording episodes today, the day before Gasparilla, our day in Tampa history. This is our Jesus' birthday. Is basically Jose Gaspar Day, Gasparilla. We're trying to get this in. I wanted to talk to them, see where they messed up. Let's get into it. Intro music. Before I bring the guys on, we'll get the housekeeping out of the way. iTunes, subscribe to the podcast. Again, the way we move up into the news and noteworthy kind of podcast is subscribes, listens, and reviews. Give us a review. You hate my guts? You think I sound like a mumbling asshole, or my opinions are terrible? Tell me. I like it. I want to get better. You got to get better. I played sports. I want to know if I'm sucking. I want to know how bad I am. If my stance is wrong, you can kick it out from under me. So the way iTunes rankings works is listens and downloads, subscribes, and reviews. So if you can pause it right here, go over, subscribe if you haven't yet, and then hit us with a little bit of a review. That helps a lot. We don't have any sponsors, but we'll use our guests as the sponsor today. It's a free podcast. Free? You should pay. You should be paying for this podcast. We're going to get some advice on what the whole podcast is about, where you started, how you got to where y'all are now. I'll bring y'all in. I don't know. Do you want to go 813 area? I asked right before we started, but I already forgot.
Well, no, that's a great question. I mean, we originally started as 813 area right here in Tampa Bay.
And that's Scott. That's Scott's voice. We gotta do a little radio dressing. You gotta go. Who's that voice? So that's Scott. David, you want to say a little something on the soup cooler there?
How you doing? David here with the 813 area.
There you go. It sounded like you were backing away as you're talking, but go ahead. Explain what 813 area is, and we've been talking for a while, trying to work with each other to help each other. Our company helping with possibly some branding and web design. Y'all have kind of a good network going. I'll let you gab.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. So, I mean, yeah, we started in Tampa here in 813area.com. We actually started in a bungalow, so a lot of times they say they startups, started in a garage. No, we actually moved up. We started in a bungalow. We found a good way to craft it to where we can grow and expand in all these multiple areas, all based on local area code. So we later became My Area Network. That's what we are today. But we are always known locally in the areas based on area code.
So think of like Yelp a little bit in the sense that you want to be the go-to thing when I'm looking for nightlife. We're in beautiful Ybor City in Tampa. It's the historic part of Tampa. For those we have about half of the listeners are familiar with Tampa, about half are outside the area. Yep. So for people that are unfamiliar with the area, it's kind of the historic area. It's the area that's kind of being revitalized slowly by hipster beards and coffee shops and, the gays. The gays are coming in hard, no pun intended, but it's Gaybor is coming around, Ybor City. And so it's one of those things where this part of the town is where the nightlife is. This was the part of town when we grew up here, you couldn't go as a kid. Yeah. I remember downstairs, what is now the Bricks, used to be Tahiti Joe's, I think. And that was the only bar I could get into when I was 16. And there's a good reason, because no one was fucking looking at who was coming in. We had one guy on the inside that was able to get us in, and we get drunk as shit. But that's the only time I went to Ybor in high school. And so it's one of those things where if I'm looking up, I'm not a club guy necessarily. I'm more of a basketball shorts and Netflix kind of guy. But if I was going to go, hey, I want to do some ecstasy tonight. I want to go clubbing. I know I wouldn't type in ecstasy in y'all's search, but I would type in nightlife. Where am I going? And what y'all have done a great job of is getting great photography for every venue y'all promote. And that's something that's really underrated. We're in this weird area where everybody thinks they're a good photographer because they have Instagram, right. Everybody thinks they're really good at photography because an iPhone's, you think about an iPhone camera and it's 10 years ago, that would have cost, just the camera alone would have been $500.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had a huge fat Sony one, and I was like, holy shit, this thing gets 5 megapixels? Fuck yes. Whereas now it's like, if you see an iPhone 4, it's like dog shit. So y'all do a very good job of like setting the scene.
Well, and to go to that point too is, I mean, we started, that was an initial way that we marketed our company was through what we call now is photo promotion. So, you know, in Ybor, going to the bars, clubs, everybody loved having their photo taken. You know, they didn't have the smartphones and everything. And in fact, like now, if a photographer goes up to people and gets their photo, everybody's always, oh, can you take a picture with my cell phone here? You know, where before it was, here, can you take a picture with my camera? And it was one of those little winding things.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Scott got started with the point and shoot camera,
started with just a point and shoot camera going out 7 nights a week, you know. So I mean, it was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
I thought you started on the what I call the nerd side, where I live. But I mean, like.
No, I mean, you know, I have my background is nerdy, yes, you know, with the IT side of things, but you know, I was always about being out in public, being out and making a fool of myself.
I don't say nerd as a pejorative. I say it in a good way because I feel like we're 3 guys that we kind of make our own schedule to a degree. I mean, we work around our clients, but at the same time, we wanted to be entrepreneurial. We're not in a corporate job we hate. Yeah, it's the old entrepreneurial kind of saying. What is it like? Work 80 hours to not work 40. You know, that kind of thing. We're at least
or to be our own boss, to then be the boss of 100 people. You know,
it's not great.
No,
it's not as cool as it. Well, I mean, managing people is something. When we started this company, I knew we will grow, but we're going to grow in a freelancer model. Y'all probably have a similar kind of system. I'm not sure the ins and outs of how you work with your photographers and all your freelance people, but I knew. I told someone this the other day. I think I told my wife, and I was like, you realize now why, like, your boss at your old company is a dick because no one kind of does what they're supposed to do, and that following directions kind of thing is fading more and more as the years go on, as we're getting in the lower teen or higher teens of 20. You know, we're in 2016. I feel like everybody has ADD. No one writes down anything. Like, I know I have a bad memory. I'm writing notes as we're going along because I want to do the episode description. I don't want to miss any key terms. I want to get that SEO too, but I don't want to miss anything that, like, oh, this was a good thing we talked about. I want to make sure that when I push this episode out, I'll put it out there because I know I'm not that good. I know my memory sucks dick. Like, I know my memory is so bad. Like, not like a good dick. It sucks like real old nasty fisherman dick. That's how bad my memory is. So I write down everything with this Bluetooth pen and Bluetooth paper. I guess I'm getting in a different tangent. Let's pull it back. When did you start with this? When did you start doing the point and shoot? How did this come about? What's the genesis?
Basically, it started back in 2006. Started right here in Ybor City, like I had said, in the bungalows in Ybor, and going out to all the bars and restaurants in Ybor. Started with the fact that there wasn't a good source of what to go, places to go, people to meet, things to do really in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a really good source for that. So that's where really the premise started here in Tampa. We've over the years, it's all about trying to be able to build something that can scale, right? So, we really focused, took a step back, a few years ago to really just focus on how do we've got something great here. Everybody's been saying, oh, this is, it's amazing what you guys do here in Tampa. And we've always had people contacting us in other areas too. Like, we would love to have this in Chicago and 312 area, for example. And, so we really wanted to take a step back and focus on our technology. So that's what we've been doing the past couple of years, really building something that can scale. And in the past about 3 months, we've been really focusing on the whole business as a whole to be able to scale. So really focusing on, the internal processes of what we do for both our clients and for our brand getting out there in the community. So we're super excited about where we are today, where we've come over the years, and most recently just in the past few months. So
I'm sure y'all have some haters out there that are like, this kind of already exists in a lot of ways. How are you going to compete with Google Maps or Google Business? How are you going to compete with Yelp? All these kind of online sites. And by the way, what you said was a great kind of pitch perfect kind of answer. But that we're not in the corporate setting. Like I want to get to like some real advice. The whole idea of this podcast was because there's not a good startup or small business podcast where you get real advice. If I'm 21, talk to me like that. Yeah. And we're at a bar and you're telling me, what advice would you give someone trying to do their own thing? What did you learn along the way that was like, I wish someone like tapped me on the shoulder and was like, hey, like the whole just writing notes down. I had a boss that told me that. She goes, you're not that good. And I was like, what? And she was like, I want you to get a legal pad out and I want you to write your to-do every morning. And if you don't have that out by the time I get here, I'm just going to fire you. And I was like, okay. And it made me good. It made me really good from being a very sloppy college kid to a way more organized, throughout the day. I don't know, what lessons have y'all learned? What advice could you give someone that's in college or just getting out of college? Because having a degree anymore doesn't mean dick. So you got to have experience and you got to have some kind of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to jump in here first and say something, and then I'll definitely be interested in hearing what David's response to that question is as well. But, one thing that, people got to remember is that we all, there's a lot of people that want to be entrepreneurs, but not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. There's more to you can't necessarily teach somebody to be an entrepreneur. You got to have the entrepreneurial spirit. You got to be able to put day in, day out, and work extremely hard, but not even just being a hard worker. You got to have the mindset. You got to have the drive and be able to have the focus as well. That's the big key, I think. Mm-hmm. Is it's so easy to get distracted and say, but this, and get leaded and directed. Like chasing money or chasing things that are out there just because it's right there for you to grab. To be an entrepreneur, you really got to be able to stay focused on what is that long-term goal, what is that long, vision that you want to be, and then what are the steps and goals to kind of get there. Mm-hmm. So, that's one of my biggest advices, I think, is to really focus. First of all, do you have what it takes to do it, and make sure that it's right for you.
So know yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, first and foremost.
Self-actualization.
No, yeah. Well, a lot. It's silly. I kind of oversimplify a lot of stuff, but it's silly. A lot of people don't know their gut. They don't know who they are exactly. And fuck, I mean, every guy I know in their 20s, and now my friends that are kind of rudderless in their 30s, they don't know what they want to do, which is kind of crazy. It's like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I'm not saying I knew what I wanted to do the last decade, but I knew I wanted to do something that was prosperous or something that actually made a difference. I think generally what Josh, my business partner Josh, and I, where our kind of tone comes from is we do want to help small businesses and medium-sized businesses and startups. We want to be involved in something innovative, and we don't think Tampa's that shitty. Whereas around the country, a lot of people just kind of shit on Florida in general, and I think we're seeing the rise of the small city in Denver, Austin, Raleigh, all that kind of stuff.
And I'm glad you bring that up. I mean, we are active out in Austin with 512area.com too as well. But Tampa's got. I'm
gonna get another beer. I'm listening. Or you want to grab me one?
Tampa's really got a lot going for it right now. Being in such an amazing state. Florida. Come on now. Look at you. Just had 3 feet of snow up north, and it's
No, I think it's getting the Huffington Post treatment. Maybe I'm more sensitive to it because I'm in that comedian world as well. So I get a lot of shit and a lot of guff where Florida's not looked at as the innovative kind of area. It's not looked at, and I always tell everybody, no, that's the best thing about it because cheap cost of living that gets passed on to you if you're getting services from us. Yeah. We're not having to pay to be in LA or New York or whatever, or Chicago or Chirac even. Shit, if you're going to the south side of Chicago, it's still more expensive than being here. And we're able to get the cream of the crop in this area because maybe there is a lack of it, but I think that's a good thing in a way. There's always a way to opportunistic kind of look at.
And that's actually a really good point there, in the sense that what we really focus on is the real world experiences too. That's the beauty of the model of our company. I mean, you can look up kind of some of the things that we do is both online and offline. It's about being out at the events, the community, what's going on, being part of it, because it's not just all about being online. It's not just about being connected and being on your phone, that you can be, in front of a TV and be in front on your phone and be, messaging while talking, while writing an email. It's all about the real world type of experiences too. And that's one of the other things that Florida and Tampa really has going for it. We may not necessarily be the tech hub down here, but we're about that real world experiences and how we can now take more technology and combine that with it to even make it to the next, something that is even greater than it already is.
It's the old thing of necessity breeds innovation, that kind of thing. And hey, man, Spanx came out of Tampa. What's up? You got and you have St. Pete across the bay, which gets that artistic kind of integrity.
727.
Yeah, 727area.com. We'll put a plug in there for for that. But it's like they're becoming the artistic kind of area. St. Pete, Sarasota. Surprisingly, you think of Sarasota, if you haven't been in the area in a while, you're like, that's just for retired people. And it's like, well, yeah, but what happened is after a while, you get a bunch of people that retire. They're living longer. You're getting a lot of people from New York that were in the arts. Now their kids are down here as well. You have, fucking the lead singer of AC/DC, Ron White, the badass comedian. There's a bunch of, it's one of the only cities in the Southeast that has like an opera, a full-time opera, full-time theater, I think full-time symphony, and there's a fourth one. It's like the EGOT. I can't remember the fourth one. But it has artistic integrity, and St. Pete is not just for spring breakers. The Spring Breakers movie. I just watched that the other day. What a pile of garbage. But it's not just for that riffraff guy. There is a thugged out St. Pete, but there also is a beautiful kind of artistic community. And I think that's kind of where y'all are kind of merging a little bit of like, I want you to discover, and we've been talking about this, what do y'all want in this next level? And it's like, we want someone to come to us to discover the next thing. Mm-hmm. And we want to be able to connect businesses in a non-corny way. When it's Yelp and you're doing I'm using Yelp, but throw out another comparison, but I'm saying like, you might use Yelp to find the next food place you haven't been to, restaurant that you haven't been to, but then there's a corny ad for something else that has nothing to do with what you're looking for. And we've talked about trying to tie that a little bit more reliably.
You look at things like Yelp too and stuff, is that it's, okay, great. You have a lot of the review, nothing to bash them or anything like that. Not here on the radio to talk about that. But, there's definitely some, unique differences about that. But the core part about Yelp is that they're looking at, how to share experiences through reviews, right? And there's a lot more to it than just reviewing businesses. There's the community aspect of it. There's the being able to talk about it, share it. Like it's not just a voice, a way to say, here's a review about this business. It's more of a dialogue about businesses, going to events, going to being part of the community and actually, and that's what we're actually over the next, hopefully next few months, you're going to see more of our site change with, working with you guys here is that we're changing things from not just being like sections of our site. It's not just about, well, here's the nightlife section, here's the restaurants, but about being community, being more user engagement where people can actually share their experiences while, communicating and back and forth. It's not just a one-off, telling a story kind of thing.
And it's funny with Yelp, where they really fucked up was they started alienating the small business, the local business, because they're like,
they couldn't pay.
Oh shit, we got to make money. And they jumped in a bad position where they're like, okay, we're going to hold your reviews hostage unless you pay. We saw Angie's List do this and it didn't work for them. So we're going to do that for us. Because Angie's List is starting to lose shares out to Home Advisor, to Porch.com, to all these other listing sites.
Service Magic.
Yeah. You can get closer on the mic.
Service Magic, yeah.
But I'm saying like where they start doing that and then they go, oh, okay. Like you have that friend that backs into a corner and he's like, you owe me like $40 from like 2007. Remember? Because I got you beers. And you're like, all right, you're backed into a corner. You're obviously kind of desperate. And that's what I felt like they really messed up. You get these big funding. These big Series A, B, C funding. And you're like, okay, I wonder how this site's going to work with that kind of cash, and eventually you got to pay that back.
Oh yeah, and that's a great point that you brought up. I mean, we really focused on working with the businesses. That's our model. Is we've always been working with the businesses. We work with the local charities, local business owners, and it's not about rising to the top so fast and getting all these users and having them be able to share, write all these reviews to them, like you had mentioned. It's now how do we get the money?
Yeah.
And we're been focused on a good model that is a way to work with these businesses that everybody's able to make money.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing I'll say about y'all from my side is one thing I do like about y'all is I brought this up in previous podcast episodes is y'all don't have a crazy ego. Like, hey, we know exactly what we're doing 100% of the time. I never like people like that. I'm always suspect when guys are like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'll never change. Yeah. I am the soothsayer. I know the future. And I feel like the guys that I really like working with and the guys I look up to as a mentor kind of role in my life are the guys that are like, I'm not 100% sure, but I have a good feeling. I'm going on an educated guess. That's kind of business to me. Business is a lot of psychology, and it's a lot of like, this is the most educated guess I've got. When people get pissed about, like we have clients that do marketing with us, and they go, how come people are coming through the doors? And it's like, well, okay, there's a lot of factors, okay? We've got a budget, and we don't have a big budget. So that's part of the problem. You're not letting us have total domain over what's going on with your marketing 100%. Your online's got to, be simultaneously the same thing as your offline. And then you can see the eyes rolling back and just like, whoa. They just want to see results instantly. And y'all probably know this from the online marketing side, where the beauty of online marketing is you get those stats. Yep. You get the reporting immediately. But what the conversation that's hard to have with a lot of people is that, like, hey, there's a chain of command just like old school marketing. Think before internet. I try to use that as a comparison. Like, think, all right, you had basically you had radio, you had TV, you have newspaper. If you're a local business, newspaper is big for you. And you maybe put an ad in there. And then you would add your lead, your ability to get leads was not very reliable. How'd you hear about us? Right. And you're like, now when you're doing online, everybody expects it to be like, and maybe I'm just kind of, I'm throwing this out at y'all because I've just had this conversation before y'all walked in, but it's like, with a client, and I was like, well, you got to understand, like, you got to understand that, like, okay, we can tell you how many clicks and your click-through rate, and, there's a chain of command where you have a creative and you have all this stuff, but there's also a part where if the customer experience isn't what you think it is, you need to not have ego. You need to see it from someone. I was telling someone that I was on a UFC podcast the other night, and I was like, no, low self-esteem is good. That's where you want to be. You don't ever want to think you're the best unless you clearly are Michael Jordan, which look, put it this way. You'll never meet someone like that. Like just you might meet Michael Jordan, maybe. And you might meet, I don't know. I'm trying to think who's the best at what they do. Clearly the best. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head.
Warren Buffett, investing.
Even Warren Buffett, because you look at, all right, I'm going to bring his work-life stuff into there because he doesn't have a good relationship with his family. And it's like, well, that's not a plan for me kind of deal,
And that's actually a great thing that you brought up there, too, as well as the work-life balance, man. I mean, oh, my goodness, for entrepreneurs or people that are looking to put day in, day out work, I'm sorry, but it's you have to be able to have that balance to work with a family and friends and everything. And sometimes I fall into that shadow of not being able to. Now,
you have a kid, right?
A 1-year-old, actually. 1-year-old. Just turned 1 a few days ago.
So I'm very interested in that because my wife and I were trying, which is a gross way of saying I'm not pulling out. Every time someone says that to me, I'm like, ugh. But yeah, it's kind of sweet. Anyway, I talk about this with her, and when we started doing this venture this summer, I mean, I had been doing small business consulting for years on the side. We kind of worked it slowly, but I told her, I was like, hey, I'm not out kicking our coverage. Again, low self-esteem. I'm going to be working as hard as I can. and working hard versus working smart. Kind of that's
Good
another
point.
that's
Yep.
another balancing act as well. But I told her, like, hey, when we're having kids too, this is not gonna. I'm trying to figure this out ahead of time. How have you dealt with that? Because that is a huge one. How old are you?
34. I had to think there
That's
for a
fine.
second.
That's fine. Bo Jackson's age. It's Bo Jackson's number. That's good. That's but
Thurman Thomas's number too, right? Wasn't
Bo
it?
Jackson in this studio. I'm an Auburn guy. We try to get Bo Jackson to marry us. Okay, he's my favorite. If I have a man crush Hall of Fame, he's at the top. He's the keystone of the whole man crush Hall
Is
of
that
Fame.
because he played football and baseball?
Yeah. But the only guy to be an all-star in both leagues in 1 year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
he's fucking badass, and he went to Auburn and he won the Heisman there and spurned the Bucks in an ironic kind of fan twist. But what I was saying is, I was telling the 80 hours thing is true. If 80 hours would be great. Like I would love that. And it's hard to disassociate. Like I can't. Like I'm trying to do the thing where I'm like, all right, don't be on your phone all the time because you're gonna get burned out. And I do. I'll have like one day out of the month where I've been working so much that I'll sleep like I'm a heroin addict almost. My wife's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm not sick. I'm just not healthy." Like I just need to sleep like 14 hours because I haven't slept a lot. Look, it's not healthy. I'm working on that. That's my own inner kind of thing. Have you had that kind of area? Because when you have a new kid, it's you're not sleeping a lot already.
Yeah, no, and that's absolutely. I mean, I'd love to hear some other people's advice for how to deal with that because, I mean, currently I'm sitting here, staying up sometimes till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, trying, working on getting things done that are just in my head that I want to get accomplished, and and sometimes I can't shut that down, you know, and then getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I mean, has my performance, do I feel like it's performance? Performance.
No, performance is good.
Not been as effective in some of the developments and things that we've been able to do. Is lack of sleep. I mean, here I am today, just exhausted. But
how many hours are you on?
I'm right now. I'm on 3.5 hours of sleep from last night.
Yeah, let's see. We got off.
How many Mountain Dews have I been on?
About 2:30 a.m., 3 last night, and I know he gets up early for the kids. So
yeah.
But, so
it's
that's one thing
difficult.
that I gotta figure out more to figure. What are some other people doing? Because right now it's tough.
So
but,
I mean,
the biggest thing is being able to have people that you can rely on, or not even just rely, but support. The big support. Your friends, your family. That's got to be the biggest.
Literally a
supporter,
network.
So, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, it's more than just one. You can't just have all that on one person. So.
Right, right. And what I look at is like, all right, sleep is something you think is kind of is a little bit elastic. I'm no good if I'm under 6 hours of sleep. That I just know that now. I used to be okay. I used to be able to do it. I used to be able to be like, hey, 3 hours, fine. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking do it. Now I'm hitting that skid where it's like, if I don't do that, if I don't do something physical every day, I feel like a piece of shit.
You're going to be working yourself, much harder because you just, you're tired. You're not getting things done. So whatever task you're at, at hand is going to take twice as long possibly because you're not able to really focus on that work. I like to stay up, late at night and work. That's when I can really concentrate.
You've been texting me late, and I'm like, damn, dude. Like,
Yeah, but he's been sleeping till 10, 11.
Oh,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, there's a give and
get-
take with that.
I got to get at least, at least my sleep. But
I'm not saying that bothers me. I'm just like,
yeah.
I at a certain point, I put my shit on do not disturb now, and that's been
Yeah.
been really good to kind of. Also, I got a Volcano for Christmas, which is the vaporizer. Yeah. Look, these opinions do not reflect on my area network or any of their affiliate sites. But marijuana helps me. It helps me slow down at night. And when your mind's going okay, here's my to-do list. I got to get this done. The legal pad that my old boss gave me as a good thing has now become a harbinger of stress for the next day because it's like, okay, I've got 30 things I got to accomplish tomorrow. And a lot, it is the sweat equity of all this stuff. And what was a bad thing I was getting into was like I was drinking booze at night, and that I mean, shit, four drinks at night, like in the 60s was like, yeah, have a pack of cigarettes and 4 drinks and you're fine. But now it's like, now we know that's fucking terrible for you and you don't get good sleep on that. And now we know a lot of studies, but it's like, again, it's going back to knowing yourself. And I know I'm a piece of shit if I'm under 6 hours of sleep. And I know my wife can feel it could be palpable if I'm stressed too. That's another thing you forget. Like if you're working hard and you're like, you're not into the conversation at dinner, you know, like it's tough because you're like, I'm sorry, I'm so stressed. It's fucking tough to go, all right. I see it like the Sports Center crawl on the left-hand side where you go, okay, I'm going to take this breaking news. I'm going to put this back. It's like a Jenga set. I'm going to put this back up there for later. I'm going to eat dinner. What I'm doing right now, I'm present in the moment with my wife. We're having dinner. This is what we're doing. We're talking about what's going on with her because ladies got to vent. They got to vent what's going on. So whatever we're doing, that's what I have to be present in the moment. Do y'all have that problem?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on my phone, you know, it just never stops. I mean, there's always something that can be done, and I just, you know, I don't mind doing the work. I mean, I don't consider what we do work. I mean, it's just building this company. And, you know,
it is and it isn't. It merges. Well, I tell everybody, they're like, I was supposed to play golf today. Someone asked me, was like, hey, you want to play golf? I was like, I haven't played golf in 4 years. Like, first off, that's a colossal waste of time. That's 5-6 hours. You know, when you really talk about like, all right, get there early, get some cuts in, then go out. You're going to drink with a bunch of guys, and then you're probably going to hang out like an hour after. We're talking about a 6-hour kind of ordeal.
It's a commitment.
It would be good to hang out with my dad, but I'm not good at golf. Here's the thing with golf.
You can go putt-putt.
I might go top golf. I'll top golf all the time.
Like
Give me an hour of that, and it's cathartic. I get some swings in. It's something physical a little bit, and like I might actually go to the batting cages after this just to get something like I need to go out there and I need to hit something. I need to go do something physical.
Not just to plug one of our clients right now though, but it's Title Boxing Club.
Oh yeah,
that's a great way. You know, right there is just hit those bags.
Title's
all that
awesome.
Energy out.
I'm signing up next week. I think I need to get some. I feel I need to get some exercise. You know, just sitting in front of these computers all day.
I call it keyboard soft. Yeah, we're getting keyboard soft.
I think I'm getting.
Carpal tunnel?
Yeah, my thumb here, just texting all the time. Seriously.
It's bad. It's bad. You have to, and I'm trying to figure out I've been listening to a lot of work-life balance stuff, and it basically, you know, I've heard it's kind of weird, and this is not going to sound good for us, but it's like I've heard the best way to really do it is you kind of just do it in 1 hour spurts where you're like, all right, there's a thing you can meditate for 10 minutes or something like that. I can't do that. I've got too bad of an ADD kind of thing. I'll like working out. I have a yoga mat in the office over there, in the co-work office.
Really?
Oh yeah. I got perfect.
Do you go down to yoga in the park and stuff as well?
I've done that. I have. That's a good date.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Look, I'm not flexible. I know that. I have back pain. White man back pain. I've got it. I got to work on that because here's the thing: if your back hurts, if you feel like shit, you don't have energy, and time is a commodity for us, right? I look at time as a unit. That's a unit of measurement for us being productive. So I just kind of look at, I kind of visualize a work week or a whole week of time as almost an Excel spreadsheet. I know that sounds super nerdy, but if you think about every cell as an hour, right? All right, you just wiped away at least 6 hours a night if you can. If you're good. I'm on like 4 or 5 most nights. This Fitbit thing, as much as garbage as I don't like it, it does tell me like, oh, you sleep like a piece of shit. Like you're not good at sleeping, which is a strange kind of subject altogether. But need to work out every day. Need to stretch every day. Need to be disassociated from the phone. See, Dave's on the phone while we're in a podcast. I try to I have it in my pocket, but I usually try to put it outside because I know I'll look at it. And it's an addictive thing too, even if it's not work, you know? And so are y'all dealing with that? Are you going to do boxing? Or can we make it if we push it? See, that's the thing. We're also in this age where talking about doing something is almost the exact same as doing something.
Oh yeah, well,
You know, like, I'm gonna get a boat. I'm gonna do it. It's like, oh, congrats, you're gonna get a boat. It's an upfront congrats. Where I'm with you. I need to go back into boxing. I was actually looking at UFC kind of cardio training just to see what that's like, just to get weird. I like the yoga in the park because that's a good date.
Mm-hmm.
I try to merge two things sometimes. I'll be like, oh, let's go do yoga in the park.
right.
Get the workout out of the way, and that's a date.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
So you gonna do the boxing?
I'm thinking about it if Scott ever makes the call and see if I'm gonna get our marketing partner Raid over there. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Look, boxing's the best because that's something you can.
I'm starting at the 30-minute class though because I've gone to the hour class and I mean that's something you got to build up to. I mean it's.
Here's what I love: the slap in the face.
Yeah.
The slap in the face with the pad. If your hands are down, it's kind of a metaphor. It can be kind of beautiful. Where your hands always have to be up, right? You always have to have them up to defend your face.
Right.
When you get weak, when you get tired, you make mistakes, right? Fourth quarter, have enough energy for the fourth quarter in football, all that kind of stuff. With boxing, if your hands are down, and even in the cardio classes, they'll smack the fuck out of you, and they go, put your hands up. It's like, dude, I'm not fucking training. I'm doing this to get in shape. I'm not doing this to like fight someone for real, and it doesn't matter. And that's what I like about it. You have to be in that zone, and that's the only thing you can think about. That I've read that can be considered your meditation.
Oh yeah.
My meditation is having to do something physical where I can't think about anything else.
Oh yeah. Meditation, like if you sit there and all you do is think, you think about everything else that you had to do for the rest of the day. I don't know. Some people but yeah, some people can block that out. I'd give them. Maybe one day I'll need to figure out how to do that. I
used to make fun of the runner's high, but I get it. Like you get all you can think about is like, I have to finish this. I got to finish this run, and I got to push myself. And all your thought is focused on finishing this one thing you're doing. You do have that tabula rasa, where you are a blank slate. That's all you can think about is like, I'm just gonna get to that next mile and I'm done. I did a half marathon and I was like, I had zero thoughts, and I was like, oh, that's the runner's high. Okay, I kind of get that now. But I don't know.
That you take that right to even talking with I'm sure there's plenty of other entrepreneur listeners out there, but is that same thing. It's that work high of being able to just stay focused. I remember when years ago, or even I still do some of the development on our site, but when it was mostly me just developing and building the site. It was, Mountain Dew nights where I was just sitting there wired in.
God, not even Red Bull.
Mountain Dew before Red Bull. Yeah. Well, Red Bull was around, but yeah.
Well, that kind of.
But I mean, it's that same thing. Is that being able to have that extreme focus, and that's core, and that's one of the biggest challenges I think of growing, something from a startup. From an idea to a startup to a company to a large corporation, so our goal is to take this business and grow into, we're only right now in 5 markets, as a physical presence, we're already slated to, grow into 75 plus markets. So I can only imagine what I'm doing now, what that's going to transpire to in the next few years. But that's why it's important.
My dick went backwards a little bit, but I'm excited. It's got to go back before it goes forward. But yeah, no, it's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
And you got to kind of, you do have to get that mental presence. You will get burned out.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason a lot of these like startup guys, they freak out after a while. And even if they get money, they do fucking crazy shit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Now the tech community is a little bit more conservative than most, but I'm saying like you have to have that good mental space. So let's throw it out there. What are you going to do to help yourself kind of get in that good mental space with the kid, with aggressive expansion?
So that's great. I mean, my background of building processes, optimization. I mean, right now I'm in a chaotic mess because there's a lot of these processes that aren't in place. So if you build these processes, get things in place, and be able to delegate that, now you're able, because before I was working at another company while doing this as well for a while there, and one of the things I've always said was it's like you got to have managers have to be able to have time to manage. You can't have managers doing so much of the workload of the business, and something that's scaling, like we've been talking with some of our staff, is that they trying to prepare them. I think that it's important not only to prepare ourselves to be able to grow fast, but be able to have something in place, and that's where we're looking forward to talking to mentors and things like that that have grown startups. But is being able to prepare them, because your jobs change. Everybody's always wanting to have a job title and a job description and what are my duties. I'm sorry, but what you do today can be completely different from what you do in a couple days.
Guaranteed.
And
I want people with grit. That's what I tell everybody. I wasn't born to do web development or do online marketing. I just fucking figured it out. Yeah. And if again, aforementioned business partner Josh, he does the creative. But if, let's say, he gets in a car crash, ruins his hands, or he's in a vegetative state, I will figure out how to at least manage someone else that can help me get through that. And I think about that as well. I don't know if you think about your coverage. You're kind of like, when you're a small team now, I'm already like, all right. I've already told people, friends of mine that I know that are good. I go, if we ever get to the point where I can hire you, I'm going to hire you in 5 seconds. We're not there yet.
Well, that's what it's all about. Just a team. I mean, you can't do it alone. I mean, it's all about building that team and having them share the vision and seeing the end goal, and that's it. You just gotta have people there to good people to help you grow this thing. And
is that your nose whistle? It's picking up on the mic. I'm sorry. Really? No, I think that's yours. Yeah. No, but I think you try to think 3 steps ahead. That's how I see a lot of this stuff. That when you're small, that's how you can get caught with your pants down. When you grow too fast, you don't have those things in place where you're like, okay, I can call this person, this person, this person. I've already got a Rolodex of people ready to go when we get to that point. Mm-hmm. It seems like you all have the same theory going. Like, you look at what other people fucked up and you go, okay, they fucked up because when they needed to grow, the people they had in their company that needed to be managers don't know shit about managing people. That's how you get office spaced. That's how you get. My wife works at a big corporate kind of data analytics. I won't say too much, but she's getting office space. She's getting to the point where they just hire people because they know this one certain thing, but they have 0 communication skills, and that's where you get in that corporate shitty hole. And I talk about HR is probably the most underrated thing in businesses, because you think, oh, that's a chick job. Some chick should just be the HR manager and office manager, and that should be that. No, that's how you have a shitty company. That's how your company wants to kill each other from the inside out, and that's how you get people that leave after a while too. I don't know if y'all think about that in that kind of direction or any of that.
Oh, no, absolutely, all the time. So
I try to write, like, the tech companies that do it well. What are they doing? All right, so they get people that have energy, positive energy. It's energy, but it's to work, but it's also positive energy. If you got a programmer that comes in and mopes all the time, like, no one wants to talk to him. You don't want to ask him for anything. There's a thing as a manager where you don't even want to go up to him and go, hey, I need you to do this. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm already doing this JavaScript and this. And it's like, yeah. And then you have to be a dick. Well, you're supposed to do that. You were supposed to do that earlier. And if you had trouble, you needed to tell me. I always talk about the push-pull manager. Yep. Always better to be a pulling manager than a pushing. Mm-hmm. We've all had that boss that's like, I need you to get this done, and I need you to get it done yesterday. And you're like, that's not helpful. I don't like that hyperbole. I fucking hate it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's 110% doesn't make sense to me either. It's like, just what I need the guy, and I love the bosses that I had or the project managers I had that go, how can I help you get this done? Mm. And that made you want to actually work for the thing you're going toward. I don't know if y'all have
yeah,
that.
I agree. Totally.
Nothing to elaborate.
Nothing to elaborate. No, but that's. But again, going to the whole point of a growth. For looking for fast growth, it's a lot easier to pull people along and Well, no, I mean, I guess it's bad example because then he makes it sound like
No.
you got dragging weight, but you know what I mean?
No.
But it's just
a
that
fast
idea.
learning
Yeah,
curve.
exactly, it is, and it's you gotta be always being able to help people. So it's like, you know, if you're, I guess you're looking at it, it's like if you're climbing a mountain, being able to help and grab their hand and pull them up. You know, it's
Yep.
The idea is
Sly Stallone and Cliffhanger, 1996. What's up? Mm-hmm. We used to watch that at David's Beach House. Yeah, what's up?
Trimmers and Disorderlies. I think,
Yeah.
oh, man.
There's a new Trimmers coming out. Mhm.
Oh,
Saw
geez,
that.
really?
Yeah.
I think there's been about 3 or 4 that have come out, but you know,
Oh,
they're like
I've got a friend in the Western
straight
Trimmers.
to DVD. So.
These are for those. That's the inside kind of thing. We used to go to the same beach area outside of Tampa and watch the same 3 movies over and over. And Trimmers was in that Rolodex.
It was.
Look, 45 minutes. See, 45 minutes up, 45 minutes down. That went a lot quicker, right?
It did.
Not so bad. It's not like getting your prostate checked. You had nothing to fear about. But we'll have you guys. What I want to do is have you all back in 3 months, and let's talk about like from this podcast date to 3 months from now, what has changed, what's gone up. I think that's going to be the most interesting kind of thing of like, hey, what have these guys done since the last one? Plus, it'd be fun to listen to y'all then, and then listen to once a quarter or something like that.
I like
Absolutely.
Y'all good with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're on tocoworks.com. Check them out. Check out myareanetwork.com. They're going to be in a bunch of zip code or area codes pretty soon. 813area.com, 727area.com. If you're in the Tampa Bay area, which ones am I missing?
407area.com
In Orlando.
Yeah, 512area.com for Austin. 352area.com just being launched.
Okay.
And then
It's Gainesville.
we're looking at 941area.com because you had mentioned Sarasota earlier.
Yep.
And 239area.com for Fort Myers and Naples. So I mean, look, it goes on, but hey, this is where we're active now, and just let's see where we're at in 3 months from now.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about y'all's future as well as ours being a part of that, and I think it's going to be. Y'all are on the right path. Again, not a lot of ego. You want to get shit done. We all have to figure out in this room how to figure out like our work-life balance, so you don't get burned out, so you don't become the Coney 2012 guy. You know what I'm talking about? The director for that Coney movie where he got so crazy about that whole thing, he was found masturbating at the San Diego Zoo. We don't need that kind of burnout. So this will get the explicit tag on iTunes, but we're on tocoworks.com. Subscribe, give a review, and tell your friends, family, your mom. Thanks. Bye.